Welcome back to the 37th episode of Beyond the Code. Today I'm joined by Mati Greenspan, founder and CEO of Quantum Economics, Quantum Expeditions, Korra Finance, and some other really cool companies. I'm not going to go into too much of the nitty gritty because you're going to hear a lot about it from Mati. He's frequently cited in financial media like Bloomberg, Forbes, The Wall Street Journal, Reuters, CNBC, Yahoo Finance, and is interviewed on TV, radio, and podcasts. He's a licensed portfolio manager by seismic, and he has been in this space for quite some time and has a lot of really valuable insights on Bitcoin and the crypto markets generally. Thank you for listening to Beyond the Code. If you enjoyed this episode, make sure to subscribe, share with your friends, and to tune in again next week for more fun and insightful conversation. Ladies and gentlemen, today I'm joined by a very special guest. I have Mati Greenspan, who is the founder and CEO of Quantum Economics, which is a research and trading firm. You guys focus exclusively on crypto, or is just one aspect of it?
Blockchain, Web3, and AI.
Okay, so emerging tech, basically.
Yes, sir.
All the topics that we like to cover on this podcast. So, Mati, welcome to the show. We're very, very happy to have you here. Why don't you tell us a little bit about yourself?
Well, hi, my name is Mati Greenspan. I'm the founder and CEO of Quantum Economics. I'm also Chief Financial Officer of Quantum Expeditions, which is a Bitcoin mining firm, and the Chief Operating Officer at Korra Finance, which is a mobile app we're building for beginners to get into decentralized finance. I'm a licensed portfolio manager in the European Union, so full broker's license from seismic. I was at eToro for 7.5 years as a senior executive, and I've been in the financial markets, paper trading since I was 12 years old.
Okay, so we typically have like people who are more on the tech side or academic or legal side, and it's refreshing to have somebody who's, a professional portfolio manager and trader. Does that mean that we don't have to do any of the classic disclaimers of this is not financial advice? Like this can be financial advice, right?
You always need the disclaimers. So that's number one. I am allowed to give buy and sell signals for a specific client if I'm aware of their personal portfolio and their appetite for risk. After I vetted a client, I can tell them, yes, you should buy this now or sell this now. One to many, that's never possible, right? So you need to give the classic disclaimers. Past performance does not indicate future results, and do not invest with more money than you can afford to lose. Those type of things are just good life suggestions.
Okay, so now that we have the disclaimers behind us, tell me a little bit about like your background. What did you study? How did you get into trading first?
Yeah, I just work experience for the most part. I dropped out of college when I was 20 years old. I figured,
like all successful people.
It was just a lot more fruitful to just hit the workforce early. I've been in various financial brokers since 2008. I started working at Ava FX, and after that, of course, several other online brokers and stuff like that until I reached eToro.
What was that like coming into the market like immediately after a crash? It might like for anybody who had been there before 2008, it probably was a really difficult time. But somebody who was just starting off at that point probably saw a lot of opportunity. No?
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, so from like 2009, I mean, 2000 it was hectic, right? And it was a good time to get in, just like because things were very exciting and things like watching, what's going on in the market from an insider's perspective and seeing the clients come in and what they were thinking and they were looking at. 2009, there was a very obvious trade, which was gold, right? And gold went up for like 4 years in a row, and that was just very easy money for anybody who was really paying attention. Similar to like what Bitcoin is now, because you had the quantitative easing, and all of a sudden the Fed pouring money onto the markets, and a lot of that was just going right into the gold market. So yeah, it was a good time. It was very exciting, and for me just to like speak with different customers, get their viewpoints, and understand. And eventually, I kind of like started collating the thoughts and starting writing my own thoughts, and then establishing myself as an analyst in the industry, sending out newsletters and activity on social media, and then eventually being interviewed on some of the biggest television financial firms and stuff like that, Bloomberg,
Wow.
CNBC, Wall Street Journal, the likes.
And so you were at eToro at the beginning?
I came to eToro in 2012, about halfway through 2012.
Hmm.
And then I heard about Bitcoin the first time, March of 2013. The CEO Yoni Asya was a very big advocate of crypto and Bitcoin from the
Still
beginning.
is. Yeah.
Yeah, exactly. And he gave me my first Bitcoin when they were worth like $30. He's like, anybody who wants Bitcoin, just open up a digital wallet and I'll send you one. I'm like, okay. And you'd be surprised, like I was one of the only ones who actually took him up on that offer, like out of a company of like 100 people. And but yeah, and then later that year there was the Cyprus issue, where the Cyprus bail-ins happened, and that really had a noticeable effect on Bitcoin price. So that was my first analysis that I'd written about Bitcoin, and was very popular.
But eToro wasn't supporting crypto trading at that time, right?
eToro did support crypto trading later that year. eToro was the first broker to offer Bitcoin as a CFD.
Hmm.
And that was just at the top. It was like literally when eToro made their offering, that was a top signal. So it was just before the crash, and then as we know, 2014, Mount Gox and everything like that was a bit of a bear market, but we kept on top of it, and as it started coming out, especially 20 tail end of 2016, early 2017. I did some groundbreaking analysis that went viral on YouTube about crypto traders and why Bitcoin was rising. And of course, we know 2017 was a historic year.
Yeah. It's funny to like look at these things retroactively. I remember like living through them, and you kind of you think the world is over. Okay, like Bitcoin was a nice project, like it's failed, whatever. We'll move on to the next thing. And I could have thought that many times over in the past years, like through the cycles. But it's interesting how you see it when you're in it and how you see it when you're out of it. So now I'm like reading all these Laura Shin's book, which is talks about how Ethereum was created, and I recently read Michael Lewis's book, which kind of goes through the whole FTX rise and fall, and just a lot of these like crypto history books where you read about a period that you were living through, but you kind of see it through the eyes of somebody else, and it's fascinating to me. So like,
Does Laura Shin's book talk about eToro at all and Yoni Asya's project?
I'm like I guess like three
Colored
quarters through, and
coins.
it hasn't come up yet. I'm
So that was
slightly after the Dow hack at this
I
point.
actually was witness to that because Vitalik Buterin was working at eToro for a time. He
Really?
actually had an eToro pass. I believe I spoke with him a few times in the kitchen, just like at the water fountain. But I didn't know who he was at the time. Nobody did. He was working on a project called Colored Coins for Yoni,
Right.
and
So
Colored
colored
Coins.
coins does come up,
Yeah,
and he mentions it as his inspiration for Ethereum.
that was
Um,
Yoni's idea. It was
Yoni
basically
was a partner in colored coins.
Yoni was Colored Coins. He was paying Vitalik to write the white paper for Colored Coins.
Oh wow,
He paid him 3.5 Bitcoin. I have the transaction ID.
wow. Okay, that's wild. I
Yeah,
thought there was another guy, Amir, who was Amir. All
I don't know
right,
here.
cool. Wow. Okay, so that's a little bit of history right there.
Yeah. I have the Epiphany email where Vitalik says to Yoni, Colored Coins is great, but it's deeply flawed because we have to go all the way back up the Merkle tree on every transaction, and therefore what's required is a new blockchain, and we're working on that. So basically, Yoni was not extremely happy about that, right? Because his project was essentially dead in the water. But once Ethereum did come out, they managed to patch things up and get back together.
Wow. Okay, very cool. So it must have been really interesting to have been there like at the beginning of things, but like you said, like you didn't really understand that that was like the significance. So that was the beginning. Like Vitalik was just another dude in the kitchen.
Yeah, absolutely, absolutely, yeah.
Yeah. So now we're still, I guess, people love to say in crypto how we're still early, but like we really are, I guess. Like, Bitcoin at 90, I wonder, what your thoughts are as to like where the market is going.
Yeah.
And, like if we really are still early or if we're looking to peak in certain aspects. Whether Ethereum still has a way to go, people keep talking about the flippening, but I don't know. My wallet isn't, the doesn't it's not going anywhere.
Well, so we have to really look at everything that's happened over the last year in light of the US elections. And I'm going to take a victory lap because I totally called the election results. I was out there saying this is going to be a landslide in favor of Trump and that it's going to be amazing for Bitcoin. And I have an article published in Cointelegraph from like 3 months ago that said the next rally is going to be all about Bitcoin. We're just waiting for the confirmation of Trump to be elected, and we're off to the races. So that's verifiable. You can look that up. But what most people are out there right now still don't understand the impact. They still think that this is like another one of those short-lived market rallies. Eat as much as you can before the food goes off the table. Like they literally don't realize what we're in over here, which is basically, in my opinion, we're entering a golden era. Like bull markets tend to last very long, whereas bear markets tend to be very short. We've come out of a very brutal bear market
That we have.
brought on by the Biden administration, in my humble opinion, that has now lasted for about 3 years since 2021, November 2021, so nearly exactly 3 years, 3 years and a week. And now with deregulation, with Gary Gensler getting fired, so we always knew about the Bitcoin cycles, right? The 4-year Bitcoin cycles. I even gave names to them back in 2018 on Bloomberg Television. I told Matt Miller, I said, look, 2013 was early adopters, 2017 was retail, 2021, I told him at the time, would be, I didn't say 2021, I didn't know when it was going to happen, but I said that the next one is going to be institutional wave. That's on record. The next one after that, and I've been saying this for the last 2 years, the next level is nation state adoption, right? Where you have big, powerful central banks coming and putting Bitcoin on their balance sheet, basically taking a page out of Michael Saylor's playbook, right? Which is very simple: is borrow cheap money in order to buy expensive money, or borrow fake money in order to buy real money, right? And nation states that have the ability to print money out of thin air, it only makes sense that they're going to be printing that money in order to be buying Bitcoin. Why wouldn't they, right? Because they can actually, for free, get something that has value. So this is what I've been saying over the last 2 years, but I never imagined that the United States would be leading the charge. It was always in my mind, United States is going to be left behind because of
Because of the Biden administration's
because
approach.
and also the Trump administration before them was not any more friendlier. It was only on the road to the elections where Donald Trump realized that, wait a second, Bitcoin is a powerful voting bloc, and by cozying up to them, we're not only going to win this election, we're going to actually improve the United States and improve like the system and the economy. So it's always been my opinion that politicians would fight Bitcoin for as long as it took until they realized that it behooves them to appease their electorate. So it's eventually going to come to a point where the people want Bitcoin so much that the politicians are going to have to cozy up to it in order to get voted, because that's how they gain their power, is through the popular vote and through the electorate. So that's happened, like really in real time. I watched it. I watched it happen. Just I kind of knew this is going to happen, but I never knew how quickly or exactly how it was going to play out. The fact that it was United States doing this, like that just blows my mind. Like I thought we were talking about, okay, El Salvador, Argentina, some countries in Africa and South America, maybe a country in Europe. Watching United States go full throttle you know that the rest of the world is going to join within 10 years or less, or even like 5 years from now. Whatever politician is still against Bitcoin, they're going to be up for re-election and they're going to be axed.
So let me ask you a question that many like Bitcoin naysayers typically challenge, and I'm just going to play devil's advocate for a minute. Why Bitcoin, right? You said, okay, print money so you could buy something with real value. Now, I'm a big believer in crypto and decentralization and the benefits of what these decentralized markets provide. But why does it have to be Bitcoin? Like, why can't you do the same thing on Ethereum or on any of the other blockchains that offer you that ability to unbank yourself, to send money across the world in a heartbeat? Why can't you do it on a chain that's faster, more energy efficient? Like, why does it have to be Bitcoin?
Oh, that's an excellent question, and not one that I'm hearing for the first time. The Bitcoin revolution was never really about technology. So, yes, you can come out with a new coin that you call XRP, and it's much faster and more scalable than Bitcoin. And, it has all these other properties that Bitcoin doesn't have and all of these features. But the vision that Satoshi put out in the white paper, it wasn't like a purely technological solution.
It's philosophical.
The idea is the network and how all of the actors within the network come together, each one of them looking out for their own best interest, and how the miners, the wallet providers, the exchanges, the individual at home, each working in their own best interest, are all going to benefit the network. These tokenomics, along with the immaculate conception that was Bitcoin, that there was no government that even was aware of it until it was already running and a decentralized protocol. Because don't forget, in the beginning, the first few blocks were mined by Satoshi. It was completely centralized. Until the government even took notice of it, it was already quite decentralized in this way. And then Satoshi Nakamoto disappearing. So there's no one man at the top that's completely benefiting and profiting, but this is rather something that the entire network benefits from. And there isn't another coin that has that same origin and those same
Properties.
pristine tokenomics
Mm-hmm.
than Bitcoin. And then of course the biggest factor is the network effect. Bitcoin is accepted and acceptable by just about anybody in the world at this point. If I meet somebody online and they're going to do a job for me and I want to pay them in Bitcoin, anybody can figure out how to accept Bitcoin and change it into their local currency within 10 minutes flat. And I've had people go, I don't know, like over the last few years, I don't know, Bitcoin, I've never done that before. I'm like, well, you want to do this job, that's how I'm going to pay you. And you'll see how fast they go, okay, here's my wallet address, right? And we move forward. And I don't think that could really be done with any coin at this point other than Bitcoin.
Okay, I'm not sure I agree with you on that last point. I mean, Bitcoin's still slower and less energy efficient than other chains.
And it
I
always
don't I
will
don't know
be.
why they wouldn't be able to be adopted on the same wide scale fashion. I know that El Salvador is kind of, was initially ridiculed as this like stupid experiment, and now Nayib Bukele is like taking credit because the value of people's Bitcoin has gone up. But I don't know that as a social experiment, it actually works in that, like, when people go to the Macolet or to to their local supermarket and want to buy their groceries, like, I don't know how that actually materializes in the form
It
of Bitcoin.
shouldn't be. Economies perform better when they're local first. So I've always kind of laughed at the idea of like a Bitcoin standard where Bitcoin is the only currency in the world. I think that would not be good for everybody. It would not be great for Bitcoin. But I do foresee a place where everybody owns some Bitcoin and has Bitcoin as part of their portfolio, which is the money that you're not planning on touching in a while and you want to keep for investment purposes, or you want to save money, you save in Bitcoin because you don't want to save in fiat money because that's designed to go down in value, whereas Bitcoin is designed to go up in value.
Mm-hmm.
So if you're trying to hold your preserve your wealth over time, without trying to make some kind of real estate or play in like buying other assets, then Bitcoin is very easy to get in, get out. It's a very liquid asset that anybody can save in. However, for local economies, I think it works well that they have a localized currency, right? Because the economy in Kenya is vastly different than the economy in Berlin. And their currency needs to react to those differences in reality, right? And I think that, for example, Kolu, right, which was built on colored coins, is also a local project here in Israel, which is local Bitcoins. Kind of hit the nail on the head there as well. Is like you want to have a localized currency, anyways. You want to have this kind of something that can react to changes on the ground. If it's Bitcoin everywhere and anything, and all money is Bitcoin, I don't think that that's going to be a very efficient economy for a global scale. Rather, I think that you want to have localized currencies anyway. So I think that there should always be a dollar, but I don't think the dollar should be like world reserve currency, because then you have problems like we've had in the last 50 years, where the United States exporting their inflation, making them richer and everybody else poorer. It's not very nice. So yes, I think that there should be a dollar to manage everything that happens in the United States, and that the United States can use for reserve swaps and stuff like that. But no one currency should be that powerful to be used as like a global reserve. That I think is the role that Bitcoin should be looking forward to in the
Mm.
next few years.
Okay, so where's it going?
So where it's going right now, and it's pretty clear, is we have nation states that are literally lapping it up right now, saying, "Wait a second, this is the best asset that we can hold on our balance sheet to preserve our wealth as a nation." And I think that over the next few years, over the next year, we're going to see some really incredible things similar to what we saw in 2009 with gold, 2009, 2010, where we saw central banks coming out and announcing, yes, we're holding this much, and buying actively and holding it. But the difference is that in 2009 and 10, those nation states announced that they were buying gold, but all the gold was sitting in Fort Knox, right? So they owned it, and they would basically just move the little yellow bricks from one end of the room to the other, signifying that their ownership had changed. In this case, those banks are able to, and those countries are able to actually hold on to their private keys and actually hold on to the ownership. And it's money that is completely unconfiscatable and unfuckwithable.
Unfuckwithable. I like that one. Okay, and in terms of like price action, like as more nation states eat up Bitcoin, and presumably there'll be less Bitcoin available for consumer use and holding, where is the price going to go?
Yeah, up
Up.
essentially. I mean,
Where? How big could it get?
how
And
high?
like should people who are, what do they call them? Shrimps, right? Who people who hold like very small amounts of Bitcoin, should they be aiming to be one Bitcoiners, just to like hold on to a piece of history, or of the future rather,
Yeah,
or is that I like, how should people who are underexposed prepare for what's coming? Is basically my question.
yeah, and again, it's difficult to give financial advice on a one to many.
With the obvious disclaimers.
I believe that everybody should have exposure to Bitcoin in a sense of, rather than a savings account. Money in a savings account, for example, is designed to
To
depreciate
be
in value. They call it inflation, and the central bank tells you to your face, yes, we want to have 2% inflation or 3% inflation. People who are a bit more sophisticated and owning government bonds, good luck to you, because the government is playing that game of real interest rates, like government, the yield on your bonds versus the rate of inflation. And if you're getting 0.5% over the course of a year, you should be doing great, right? Um, but you're just basically you're in a game of paper. Whereas, and also you're taking a risk on the government. I would never in my life lend my money to a government entity. That actually makes zero sense to me. But there are people who are out there who do it. I just think there's a much better way to do it these days, which is to hold your money in Bitcoin, where we can see, Bitcoin is up triple digits nearly every year, except with very few exceptions. That's a lot better than your 0.5%. With only 21 million Bitcoins that will ever be produced, I don't see that dynamic changing anytime soon. Yes, there will be volatility and pullbacks, but the more we see Bitcoin completely distributed, the less anybody can really have a major impact on the price by selling a lot of them. We saw Germany earlier this year, sold a lot of their Bitcoins, and that did have a negative impact on the price for a while, but more like the price was not going up for,
Right.
for a month or so, rather than, okay, we saw, we didn't see any kind of 70 or 80% correction in the
Yeah.
market like we would have in the old days. So the more, and I've always held this position since the first I understood about Bitcoin, is that over time the volatility wanes. So the more we see Bitcoin reaching its full market potential, where every individual, corporation, and nation state are using Bitcoin fully in the way that they should, transacting in it every single day in the way that Satoshi intended, then the price volatility will even out. And then rather than having Bitcoin as something that we measure in dollars, we'd be measuring the dollars in Bitcoin, and we'd have a much more steady increase in value over time in comparison to all other assets.
Very interesting. You mentioned several companies that you're either leading or advising: Korra and Quantum Expeditions and Quantum Economics and MC Squared. Tell me a little bit about more about those companies and what they're doing and what your involvement is with them.
Yeah, we're going to have a very exciting announcement with Quantum Economics, probably December 16th. I'm biting my tongue right now because it's a really exciting partnership
Come
with
on, give us some alpha.
I'll tell you later, but it's one of the biggest names in crypto who's partnering with us on our website, QE.finance. If you go there now, you'll see a nice globe, which is showing our entire team at Quantum Economics, some of the brain power that you get. We're
And Quantum
advising.
advises retail users, or it advises funds. Like, who are
Both.
your customers?
So we have the Quantum Alpha Club,
Mm-hmm.
which is for retail investors who want to know a bit more about the markets and have access to our global analysts. You'll have a Telegram channel. Right now, it's only $25 for a year. That'll likely
Can we
change.
give like a discount for Beyond the Code listeners?
Sure, whatever you want. I don't mind. Whoever wants
All
one,
right, so maybe we'll put
I'm,
together a
I'm
link and I'll share it with the episode.
I'm fairly flexible at the moment because we're about to turn the whole economic model on its head and make it more Web3. That there's your spoiler. Uh, but the point is that that's for retail investors who are looking to understand a bit more about the markets, and then for businesses we have Quantum Consulting, where we're advising projects like you mentioned, MC Square. We're also advising Lunar Crush. We've been advising them since the beginning of Quantum Economics, nearly 4 or 5 years now. I've also advised on Chili's and 1inch and Luno and really some of the most exciting things that are going on there. There's a full list of projects that we're advising: Soundwork, Woobits, Web3 Social Network, Poland DeFi, which is a suite of DeFi trading applications. And then we have two spin-off companies so far, Quantum Expeditions and Korra Finance, and hopefully more on the way. Because when you get a lot of people together, builders, investors, content creators, I mean, these things just they tend to happen. So
Awesome.
the sky's the limit.
Awesome. So what is Expeditions and Quora? Like, how are they different than Quantum Economics? So they're also just different research.
Oh, they're different companies completely with different business models. Quantum Expeditions is a Bitcoin mining company.
Oh, okay.
We're mining Bitcoin in West Texas.
Okay.
We've raised $1 million from general public so far, and we just found a swath of natural gas in the Permian Basin.
Wow.
So where I don't want to get into specifics, but we're basically going to slash our electric cost by more than 50%,
Wow.
which is basically all going to, because right now we're mining profitably, right? Which with the money, with the machines that we have, we're mining profitably, but it
It's
still
all
feels
a
like
numbers game. Like the less energy you
like,
use, the more you
yeah,
could generate.
the feeling is like that we're working for the electric company, right? Like we're paying them more than we get paid. And when we move on to natural gas, we're basically talking about gas that is a byproduct of crude oil. So the people we buy it from, they don't want the natural gas at all. They want the crude oil that's coming out. The natural gas comes out also, and they're like, oh shit, now I have to deal with this stuff.
So if
And
you
then
could take those emissions and you could actually utilize them, then it's a win-win for everybody.
exactly what they would normally do is they'd burn it off into the air, which is
And
horrible for the
horrible for
environment.
the environment, and it would cost them money to dispose of it. So this way they
Exactly.
could make money. It's more environmentally friendly, and
And we do it on
and you
site.
get Bitcoin.
Yeah, we set up everything, generator connected to the
Wow,
Bitcoin
that's awesome.
mining machines. And right now we're testing our first well. So
Wow.
within the next couple of months, we'll have a fully set up site, which is going to be off grid, and deploying that solution. And anybody who wants to get involved in that, go to wefunder.com/quantum expeditions, and you can invest in quantum expeditions for as little as $100 and up to 100,000 through a crowd fund, which is fully compliant with all of the latest SEC guidelines. There's no token involved. You're actually purchasing future equity in the company. And then Korra Finance is a mobile app that we're building. We've been looking into DeFi for the last 2 years. In April of 2022, we made an acquisition in the DeFi space, which was Revolt Network, which is a project that essentially um, it had good qualities, I would say, but it didn't survive the bear market. And the team ended up infighting, and they just like wanted to wash their hands of it. So we basically just took over the entire project, all the code base, all the community, everything, and started like really like taking it apart and like really understanding what is a DeFi project, what are good tokenomics, what are bad tokenomics, what is good in a team, what is good in a roadmap. And then beginning of this year, we said, okay, look, Revolt is never going to come back to life. Nobody's ever going to breathe life into something that died.
But what can we
So
learn from the carcass, basically?
yeah, exactly. So we did a full autopsy on it, and we did like we completely understand what, and then we said okay, now we need to turn this on its head. And what we came up with was something that we feel is actually needed in the market very much, which is a wallet that you could use to just give it to you. Like, so let's say if your cousin or your father comes to you and says, "Hey, I want to get into Bitcoin," right?
This is literally happening to me 5 times a day now with people.
Right. And usually you tell them whatever's their local solution. So if they're in the United States, say, okay, go to Coinbase, right, and download the app, and you can buy Bitcoin there, right? So it's pretty simple. So what if they came to you and said, hey, I want to invest in DeFi, right? And what's your answer for them? Yeah, go download Twitter and spend 10 hours a day on Twitter Spaces and speak to 50 people and research every smart contract and become a programmer. It's okay.
And 9 out of the 10 companies that you'll invest in will probably go nowhere and end up scamming their
Exactly.
users. And
So the idea is to make DeFi accessible to everyone using the latest and
to
greatest in
make DeFi
AI.
infrastructure as an investment asset, not as a tool for you to use.
Correct. And the way that we do that is by the use of an innovative AI called Korra, who comes and
Okay.
speaks to the user, and the user is going to have all kinds of questions. Obviously, first first onboarding people into Bitcoin, Ethereum, and the like, and then moving on to the deeper financial assets in the next layer of the technology.
So it's an educational tool that's self prodded by the user, and he's kind of coming in and peeling off various layers, and as he continues to learn and accumulate knowledge, presumably his questions get better and the answers get more complex. Very cool.
Yeah,
um,
absolutely.
Obviously you need to be careful with all the disclaimers here that whatever he's unraveling is in no way
Well, it's
financial advice,
all
and you
look.
don't want it to be synthetic. Also, you want it to really be tailored to whoever it is on the other side.
The disclaimers always need to be in place, but the beauty is that this is all completely decentralized and self-custodial. So when somebody is investing in Ethereum or in an Ethereum yielding smart contract, we're not ever touching their money,
Hmm.
right? We have zero custody of their funds. We don't touch it. We don't ever have to even take any control over it, or even be a bridge, right? There's other services that we use for that. We're just the interface. So it's basically creating a marketplace for these things that's completely accessible and very easy to use, and that you could just say, okay, here, Uncle, download this app called Korra, and it's going to basically lead you through the entire journey and then give you more resources to learn more.
Okay, when will that be available? Because I have people who need this now.
Today, well, we just came out with the first version of the app, which is going to be released to our community very shortly.
Where is
Um,
the community? Is that a Telegram group, Discord? Like
yeah,
how can people get more involved in this kind of thing?
yeah. So Korra.finance is
And
our
that's
website.
that's Korra, Korra.
That's correct. Yep. And then to join the community, I would say, first of all, joining the quantum economics community, you're going to be plenty in touch with what's happening in Korra as well. But you have the link to our Telegram group there, where we're talking about the latest and greatest updates. And then pre-sale of the Korra token will be available probably within the next 2 or 3 weeks. So we're on the cusp of just announcing a date for the pre-sale, most likely
And what does the
early to
token give you?
mid-December.
What How does the token work within the product?
Yeah, so the token does have a lot of different functions within the product.
Hmm.
Um, our CEO, Matt Rich, has done a lot of exploring. And first of all, with Revolt, it was like a beautiful use case for us to see like how tokenomics can go wrong and how it can go right. Because there were a lot of things that went right, but there was also a lot of things that went wrong. So I would encourage you to read the light paper, which is already available.
Doing it right now.
Yeah, definitely. If you have some feedbacks, we're keen to hear them as well. But the biggest thing for me is that we don't start printing in order to give away, because that's what you'll see a lot of these
That's where
projects
things go
do,
wrong.
is like incentivizing use of the platform. The use of the platform should be incentivized by the fact that people are getting utility out of it,
Hmm.
not that they're trying to make money by using it. However, we do have a plan to reach 1 million downloads, which includes giving away free things, just not things that we've
Right.
created. So like airdrops and stuff like that that'll be available through the app, but not Korra tokens, because Korra tokens are too valuable to give away. Those are things that
But there
we
will be like a learn to earn aspect as well.
possibly, but not with Korra tokens. We're not
Uh-huh.
about to incentivize user growth through emissions of tokens, because that's the fastest way to tank the price of a coin. Korra tokens will be used within the DAO. We plan on having an investment DAO, which will be managed by professional investors, and holding on to those tokens will be a part of ownership of that investment fund. And then, of course, within the app for using it for special features and stuff like that.
Very cool. Wow, Mati, where do you have time for like anything else other than work? Like you're seems like you're a
I
powerhouse,
took my
man.
kids to the
It's
park
just each
yesterday
one of these.
afternoon, man. I don't. So look, my thing is, like, I have endless amount of time. I don't have any time constraints because all of these things which I mentioned, I have very good people working with me, hand in hand. So I wouldn't say that there's a delegation process, but it's actually like, Quantum Expeditions has a CEO, Doug Hardwick. He's extremely capable, and I'm stepping in as support. And then Korra Finance has a CEO and a CTO, which are quite amazing individuals. And everybody that I work with on all three of these companies are people that I can rely on, and people that I know that when we sit down and have our board meeting and we divvy up the responsibilities, I'll take what I can handle easily, and and we'll make sure that everybody has a direction that they're working in, and that's the only way to do it.
Wow, very cool. Each of these companies seems to be like really, really exciting and have a lot of potential. I'm going to share the links to all the websites and the light papers and the Telegram channels if that's something that people could get access to. This is really cool, Mati. Thank you so much for sharing with us, and thank you so much for joining with us today.
Absolutely, it's
If
my
people
pleasure.
want to follow kind of see what's going on in your wheelhouse, what's the best way for them to do that? Where are you most
Twitter,
active? Twitter.
Twitter,
Okay.
yeah,
What's your handle?
at Mati Greenspan.
Okay, that's
Surprise.
MATIGREENSPAN.
Absolutely.
Follow Mati on Twitter to, I guess, get some good alpha. And Mati also co-hosts the breakfast show, the Yalla Bitcoin breakfast show, together with Dudu on Wednesday mornings.
Tuesday,
So Tuesday mornings.
Tuesday
Tuesday.
mornings, 11 a.m. Israel time.
11 a.m. Israel time. So if you want to get some alpha and to hear Mati bash random founders who don't know what they're talking about.
I do that, yeah. I love it when there's good founders who come on, and are able to answer my questions. But I love it even more when these founders come on and they have zero clue and they just they wander in like we're gonna come and give them a free promotion.
So
Piss
if you're
off.
looking for a good thrashing, definitely reach out to Mati or me or Dudu. I'm happy to get you on the show. Take a few punches from Mati. It's definitely a good way to kind of make sure that your deck is bulletproof, and have a good one.
Absolutely. Thank you very much.
Welcome to Beyond the Code, the podcast where industry experts and brilliant legal minds discuss the impact of new emerging technologies. I'm your host, Yitzy Hammer, a lawyer and tech enthusiast. Join us as we explore the legal, regulatory, and ethical issues surrounding AI, blockchain, and more. Get ready to go beyond the code and stay ahead of the game.